It's just been announced. Mikel Arteta wants to sign a player valued at £80 million from a Premier League club fighting relegation. But that's not all. Julian Alvarez's real price has just been revealed, and it's much higher than the £82 million that were being reported. In addition, we have a crucial update on Anthony Gordon's move to Arsenal. If you want to know all the exclusive details of these big transfers before everyone else, sign up now, turn on notifications, and let's dive into what could shape the entire Arsenal transfer window. Let's jump straight into our first story because Mikel Arteta has identified a really interesting transfer target that could be brilliant business for Arsenal. Arsenal want to sign West Ham midfielder Matteas Fernandez this summer. The Times are reporting that Arteta is a big admirer of the 21-year-old, and if the Hammers get relegated, they will have little choice but to sell him. Fernandez joined West Ham from Southampton last summer for an initial £38 million, but his value has absolutely shot up after a breakthrough season that has made that fee look quite reasonable in retrospect. 5 goals and 4 assists across 40 appearances is a solid return for a young midfielder, but it's his all-round midfield play that has genuinely caught the eye of top clubs. He's not just a goal contributor, he's a complete midfielder who can do everything. Arteta has a well-established track record of favouring technically gifted, versatile players capable of operating in multiple positions. And even more importantly, he loves players who are Premier League proven and don't need time to adapt. Fernandez fits that profile rather neatly. He offers tremendous flexibility in the middle of the park with his ability to play deeper as a number 6 or push further forward as a number 8. That versatility is gold dust in modern football. Now here's where this gets really interesting. This could be another Aaron Ramsdale case for Arsenal. Fans will remember that Ramsdale suffered back-to-back relegations with Bournemouth and Sheffield United before arriving at Arsenal in 2021. The £30 million signing raised eyebrows at the time. People questioned why we were buying a goalkeeper from relegated teams, but he quickly established himself as a very good Premier League goalkeeper and became a fan favourite. That signing worked out brilliantly for a few seasons. Fernandez is on a similar trajectory right now. He was relegated with Southampton last season, and now he's potentially heading down again with West Ham, but he would arrive at Arsenal considerably more highly regarded than Ramsdale was when he joined us. The talent is undeniable. The performances have been excellent despite playing in struggling teams. Sometimes the best value in the transfer market comes from picking the best players out of relegated sides before other clubs realise their true quality. And unsurprisingly, Arsenal aren't alone in monitoring Fernandez. Manchester United and PSG are also seriously interested, which tells you everything about the level of player we're talking about here. So how would Fernandez fit into Arsenal's midfield plans? That's a great question because our midfield picture heading into next season is one of the more fascinating aspects of summer planning. Martin Zubimendi was signed last summer with considerable fanfare, but he's found the relentless volume of high-intensity fixtures difficult to sustain. That's understandable given Declan Rice is the only outfield player to have racked up more minutes for the Gunners this season. Zubimendi's form has dipped significantly, and he's since lost his place to Miles Lewis-Skelly in recent weeks. That's not quite how anyone imagined things going just 1 month ago when Zubimendi was considered undroppable. Fernandez would slot in as a dynamic, jack-of-all-trades option alongside Rice, Zubimendi and Lewis-Skelly. He brings energy, technical quality, goal threat and that crucial Premier League experience. With Christian Norgaard's future at the club uncertain following his international retirement and just 56 Premier League minutes this season, Arsenal are genuinely keen to refresh that midfield depth. 4 high-quality central midfielders competing for places, Rice, Zubimendi, Lewis-Skelly and Fernandez, would give Arteta Manchester City-like depth in that crucial area of the pitch. That's exactly what you need when competing for multiple trophies. Now let's talk about Julian Alvarez because the widely reported price tag is apparently well wide of the mark and Arsenal will need to dig significantly deeper if we're serious about signing him. That's the verdict from transfer insider Ben Jacobs, who has poured cold water on the figures that have been doing the rounds in the media for weeks. Speaking on the Market Madness podcast, Jacobs was asked whether Alvarez could leave Atletico Madrid this summer. His answer was revealing and honestly quite concerning for Arsenal fans hoping we'd sign him. Jacobs said, "It's really difficult. I think Atletico will fight to keep him, maybe even offer him a new deal. The money is going to be astronomical if they sell. A lot of people are saying 80 to 100 million euros. That's not my understanding. It would have to significantly surpass what Barcelona paid to Atletico a few years back when they signed Antoine Griezmann. So you're looking really at a minimum of 125 or 130 million euros to start a conversation." Let that sink in for a moment, Gooners. 125 to 130 million euros just to start a conversation. That's approximately 108 million pounds minimum. That's an absolutely astronomical fee for any player, let alone a striker. Spanish football expert Guillem Balag recently confirmed that Alvarez is Barcelona's #1 summer transfer target as they search for a long-term successor to Robert Lewandowski. But at £108 million plus, Jacobs makes it crystal clear that Barcelona's appetite for that number is extremely limited. Jacobs explained further, players are very keen on Barcelona. Barcelona are not keen on that number, so at face value it's a non-starter, but Barcelona haven't discounted making a move or somehow trying to drive the price down. So Barcelona want him desperately, but they can't afford what Atletico are demanding. That's interesting for Arsenal because it potentially removes our biggest competition. PSG are also in the picture for Alvarez, though Arsenal could gain a significant advantage over the Parisians if we beat them in the Champions League final on May 30th. Winning that final would be massive for so many reasons, and convincing Alvarez to join would be one of them. The prospect of lifting European football's biggest prize, combined with Andrea Berta's existing relationship with Atletico from his time as their sporting director, would surely give Arsenal the most compelling pitch to Alvarez, although that relationship may have soured somewhat after Berta's sideline altercation with Diego Simeone during our semi-final tie. That was quite a moment. Alvarez himself gave the Gunners a proper taste of what we'd be getting across both legs of the Champions League semi-final. He caused William Saliba and Gabriel problems throughout before an ankle injury restricted him in the second leg. At 26 years old, with a World Cup winners' medal and Champions League pedigree, he's about as complete a striker as any you'll find in Europe right now. But the question is whether Arsenal are willing to pay £108 million minimum to get him. Now let's talk about Anthony Gordon, because there's been a huge development suggesting he may have already played his final game for Newcastle. Newcastle winger Gordon may have made his final appearance for the club, with a summer transfer increasingly looking like a formality now. That's according to Newcastle journalist Lee Ryder, who shared his insight on the Everything is Black and White podcast. The Magpies still have 2 games left to play in the Premier League season, but Ryder was absolutely blunt about the logic of risking Gordon in these remaining fixtures, with a big money move on the horizon. Ryder said, if Newcastle have got, let's say, an £80 million transfer in the works, they've already spoken to Bayern, the player wants to leave, then why would you bring him on into end-of-season games? Let's say he turns his ankle or breaks his ankle. That is the risk, that they get a long-term injury, and it jeopardizes potentially getting the money in. We've already been told on the record the need to sell to buy, so I guess it feels very ominous. Think about what he's saying. Newcastle need the money desperately for financial fair play. They've got an £80 million deal potentially lined up. Why on earth would they risk that by playing Gordon in meaningless end-of-season matches where he could pick up a serious injury? It makes perfect business sense to protect the asset. Wrap him in cotton wool, keep him safe, make sure the transfer goes through smoothly in the summer. Bayern Munich remain the frontrunners for Gordon's signature, with negotiations already underway. The player himself is understood to prefer a switch to the Bundesliga, which is disappointing for Arsenal fans. But Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester City are also said to be among the interested parties, so the situation could still change dramatically. Could Arsenal still sign Gordon? Absolutely. It's no secret that Mikel Arteta has long admired the English winger, and a new left winger is firmly on the agenda this summer, given Martinelli's struggles. Should the proposed move to Bayern Munich break down for any reason, maybe they can't agree on personal terms, maybe Bayern signs someone else instead, don't be surprised if Arsenal make their move for a player Arteta has tracked for some time. Fans may scoff at the prospect of Gordon being a marquee signing, but his dynamism, intensity out of possession and Premier League pedigree make him a textbook Arteta signing. Besides, with 17 goals in all competitions, he's outscored all of Arsenal's wingers this entire campaign. The club will have alternative targets though, including RB Leipzig's Jan Diomande and Bradley Barcola of our Champions League final opponents, PSG. Alright Gooners, that's all the massive transfer news from today. Now I want to hear from you. Should Arsenal sign Fernandez from a relegated team? Is Alvarez worth £108 million? And would you take Gordon if the Bayern move collapses? Drop all your thoughts in the comments right now. I read every single comment and your debates are always incredible. Let's get a proper discussion going. And if you enjoyed this transfer breakdown and want every Arsenal update before anyone else, you absolutely need to hit that subscribe button immediately. Smash it right now and turn on notifications so you never miss our content. We're building the ultimate Arsenal community on YouTube. Until next time, Gooners, stay ambitious, stay hungry, and come on you Gunners.